This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, a father's violent fall.
I noticed that his lip was bleeding on the side.
Puts his life in the hands of his 7-year-old son.
My biggest concern was that he remained breathing until the fire department got there.
Then, a hunter's deadly mistake leaves a couple stranded and injured. Now a man must risk death to save his wife on Rescue 911.
As parents, we have to decide at what age our children are old enough to begin learning basic life-saving skills. But we tend to underestimate their capabilities, as Stephen Walker discovered on the evening of April 20th, 1990, while spending an evening alone with his 5-year-old son, Stevie, at their home in Indianapolis.
Here you go, Steve. I'll take those, put on the tape, and I'll be down in a minute, okay?
I've been leaving the two of them alone together since Stevie was born, because Steve is a very doting father, and he's very watchful. He was going to cook, and they were going to go downstairs, and they would have a good time.
There you go. One more last bite, guys. One more. There you go. There you go, Piggy.
I heard the crash, and I turned around, and I just thought that was playing a game. Dad? Dad? I go, Dad, and he doesn't answer. And then I say, are you playing a joke? And he doesn't respond there either. Dad, are you playing? I noticed that his lip was bleeding on the side, and I said, uh-oh, it's not a joke. I know it was all up to me, and my mind said, if you want to be good and to be pretty special, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Stevie's call was taken by Marion County Fire Dispatcher Susan Lauthan.
Fire dispatcher. The caller began to state that his father had fallen down the steps and was not moving. Okay, Stevie. I realized at that point that I was talking to a child, and I realized that he was there by himself. I said, Stevie, if you do exactly as I tell you to do, I can help you through this until the fire department gets there.
Rescue units were immediately dispatched to the scene.
I knew that he had not called his mom at work. He had not called his grandparents. He had immediately called 911, and that is very crucial. Can you tell me if he's breathing?
I took my fingers and put it right between his chin and his nose, and I felt air coming out, so I knew he was still breathing.
Okay, now I need to know if he's bleeding. Do you see any blood coming from anywhere? He said yes, there was blood coming from his head. The fact that he did have a head injury, that he was unconscious, that he wasn't moving, those are all very serious symptoms that you can put over where the blood's coming out to help control the bleeding. My biggest concern was that he remained breathing until the fire department got there, but Stevie was so respondent to me, I had total confidence that had he quit breathing, Stevie would have been able to deal with that too.
Okay, guys, what you got?
EMTs and an advanced life support unit, including paramedic Jim Glad, arrived to help treat the victim.
He had a 3 to 4 inch laceration to the back of the head as the result of his fall down a flight of stairs. We weren't sure what the extent of the head injury was at that time.
Don't give me a hard time. Easy, bud.
If his father had remained unconscious, he may have very well bled to death or lost a considerable amount of blood to have endangered his life. So the time factor was very important. And as we were leaving the scene, realizing he's the one that had called, I got down on my knees, patted him on the shoulder, and said, if you're the one who called 911, you did a fine job. You probably saved your father's life.
Steve was taken to Community Hospital East, where he was treated for multiple brain hemorrhages and released 8 days later. It's been 2 years since the accident, but Steve Walker will never forget the night his son Stevie came to his aid.
I was very lucky that he was as intelligent as he was, and that he handled it with the calm and cool of a pro.
You think you'll drive one of these days?
Maybe.
Maybe.
He certainly saved my life, and there's a debt there I can never repay.
130. I can go faster than that. I'm thankful that my dad's still here. We spend a lot of time together now because if he ever has another accident, I'll be there for him.
The show had a major effect. I think it took the scare away from him of facing an emergency.
I remember lots of times when Stevie and Dad would sit around and watch Rescue 911, and then to find out that he called 911 from just watching it, it was just amazing.
If 911 would have never been on the air, I probably would not be here on the face of the earth today.
Next.
Hunting in this area is very popular. A lot of people hunt within a half-mile of their home.
In North Idaho on October 15, 1989, as the light was beginning to fade, Dennis and Frances Queasty set out for a walk.
It was getting a little late for a walk, but we thought, well, go out and get some fresh air, take a quick walk, run down to the river, back home, kick your feet up, watch a little TV, and that would be it for Sunday. And it didn't turn out quite like that.
Mr. Queasty was very mad at what had happened here because he said he walks that path every night, him and his wife. He said it shouldn't have happened.
Hunting in this area is very popular. A lot of people hunt within a half-mile of their home. Because of this, people have to be extra careful. You never know when somebody just might be out for a walk.
We started for home, come back up the road about, I don't know, 200-300 yards, and there's a pickup truck coming.
What's that guy doing down here?
I don't know. Can't tell what he's doing. Maybe we better get off the road and get out of its way.
The same instant, the muzzle flash, the bullet was there.
I've been hit.
He got out of the pickup and he come up towards us, I don't know, 30, 40 feet, I guess. And we were hollering to tell him we were both hit, go call 911, we need help.
Don't shoot!
When I saw Francis laying there, I just, you don't know what to think. I mean, there's a million things run through your mind. Death is way back there, but you don't really want to think about it. I looked at the bullet hole in Frances. It went in her chest, and I thought, this don't look real good. I'll go for help.
Dennis and Frances had both been hit by the same bullet. They needed immediate medical attention, but there was no phone anywhere near them.
I didn't get any response from anybody for hollering help, so I took the pistol out of my pocket, fired 3 shots in the air. And you're kind of in a daze there for a minute, but you feel a lot of blood coming. So I unbuttoned my shirt and stuck my hand in there, and I could feel the bone inside my arm and the joint there, and I could feel it was still all hooked together, so I knew it was still with me. And I took that shirt and I started packing it up in my armpit so it would kind of slow up the bleeding, and started to leave, and I thought, this don't really look good. I give her a hug, give her a little kiss, said, I'll see you later, and I left. You just think maybe this might be the end. It's kind of a tough deal.
The first information about the incident was relayed to the sheriff's office at 6:45 p.m.
Yeah, do we have a report of a gunshot wound?
The male subject, identifying himself as Don from Kootenai Medical Services, called to advise that there had been an accidental shooting and that help was needed.
But they did not have a specific location. Rescue workers were dispatched to the general area.
Hello? This is Mary at the sheriff's office. My name is Sharon. Are you the lady that called? Yes.
Within minutes, a woman called in, identifying herself as the wife of the man who had done the shooting. But even she could give nothing more than general directions to the location.
An accident. I've seen a bear and he shot and, oh boy, I'm telling you. All right. How badly is the boy injured? Don't know.
There's a million things running through my mind in that half mile that I come out of there. Probably the gist of the whole thing was wondering, you know, is she still alive?
When we continue.
Yes, I've been shot.
You've been shot?
Yes, my wife is Frances, and I think she's dead. And I'm about to pass out, so I can't do any more.
It had been 10 minutes since a hunter had shot Dennis and Frances Queasty. Though seriously wounded himself, Dennis had been forced to go for help and leave his critically injured wife lying by the road.
When I got home, opened the door and called 911. I kind of felt lightheaded. I'm not really clear on what all I said when I called him.
His call for help came in at 6:52 p.m.
Sheriff's office?
Yes, I've been shot.
You've been shot?
I've been shot. My wife, I don't know if she's dead or not. Between the Silver Bridge and Henry's store on the old pipeline road. And I'm about to pass out, so I can't do any more.
All right, now just a minute. Where are you calling me
I'm
from?
calling from my house, right at Henry's store, right next door. Denny Queasty is my name.
All right, Denny Queasty?
Yes, my wife is Frances, and I think she's dead.
Oh, my.
The neighbor right down here shot me. Thought it was a bear.
All right.
It just feels like if you close your eyes to just take a breather for a minute, that they may not open back up again.
Please, I'm going to black out.
Did you advise your ETA to the area of Henry's Country Store and one of the victims?
You there? I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. Hello, are you there?
I'm here. The officer is about 2 minutes away. Can you wait there for him, please?
I will do my damnedest. Is there an ambulance coming?
There is an ambulance coming, yes.
I'll be there.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, just a minute.
My thought is, if I lose Dennis, I'm going to lose the location on his wife. He had a tremendous, tremendous feeling for his wife, and he was going to do the best he could for her, and I think this is really what kept him on his feet.
You just got to do what you got to do. Adrenaline, I don't know what you'd call it, but you never did think about laying down and quitting.
Sheriff's Deputy John Mocotel, who arrived first, had known Dennis for years.
Dennis Queasty informed me that he had been shot. He thought his arm had been blown off, and his wife, he thought she was dead. I wanted to give him some medical attention, but he didn't want any medical attention. He wanted to get to his wife as soon as possible.
We went across the highway and back down to this pipeline road, and I'm telling him that Frances is going to be laying along here someplace. But all the time that you're going down there, you're not sure what you're gonna find. You know, it's kind of gnawing in the back of your mind that it isn't going to be what you want to find when you get there.
We're just off to the side of the road.
While driving down this rough, windy road, Denny told me that he didn't know for sure exactly where he left her. And so he was searching and looking as hard as I was. I've known Frances as long as I've known Dennis, and she's a really neat person. It was rather difficult to drive through there and try to get there as quickly as possible without running over her.
When she seen the lights of the car coming, She did raise her leg up in the air and wave her foot back and forth so we could see where she was. We were just within 15 or 20 feet of her.
I'm here. We're back. You okay? How you doing?
She said she was in pain. I quickly checked for bleeding. I found multiple injuries from her chest down to her abdomen. Bleeding seemed to be under control, and I explained to her that I didn't want to do anything to her at that point, and I wanted to keep her warm.
The ambulance arrived soon after.
It was a little bit of a shock when I rolled up on the scene and saw that it was Dennis Christie was one of the victims. I've known Dennis and his wife both for about 20 years.
EMTs Steve Bird and Dawn Dion took care of the couple at the scene.
Dennis was scary. He was very pale. He had very large black circles around his eyes, and he was dripping with sweat. The only thing that was obvious to me was someone had gunned him. He looked like he'd been hunted.
The alleged suspect came in to the area and started screaming, "I thought it was a bear, I thought it was a bear, I didn't mean to shoot." And I told him, "This is not the time or the place. We'll conduct the investigation when the wounded are gone."
The gunshot wound entered the right side of the chest, and she stated to me that she could feel the bullet sticking out her back. And the dangers that I feared the most was that it had punctured the lung, or it hit a major organ, and she was having a lot of internal bleeding. There really wasn't a lot we could do at the scene other than just get them transported to the hospital because it was obvious that both of them needed surgery.
Time was of the essence. We stopped the bleeding, we treated for shock, and we got her butts out.
By the time the ambulance made it the 8 miles to the nearest hospital, emergency medical staff members had gathered, including Dr. James Joy.
What do you got, Steve? Vitals? What name?
Francis Christie.
Francis, can you hear me? Francis, can you hear me, Francis?
What do you want?
Okay, she's got no airway obstruction.
My first appearance of her was that she was very shocky. She had that cold, clammy, very pallor appearance, whitish appearance. We immediately started life support treatment to the patient. Her situation was very critical at that time. Her pressure was very low.
Steve, I want blood pressures every 2 minutes. Don, let's cut her clothes off.
Once her pressure responded with fluids, I did my initial evaluation of the patient.
Get the chest tubes out, get the chest tubes.
My main concern was I knew she had abdominal trauma, but did she have chest trauma? Some serious chest problems may not show you symptoms at that particular time. They can develop an hour, 2 hours afterwards. And I didn't want to get myself into a situation here that I couldn't handle for fear that, I would be jeopardizing this patient's life.
Francis was flown by Lifebird to a hospital in Spokane, Washington, which was better equipped to handle any complications from her wound. Dennis was taken by ambulance to the same hospital, where both underwent immediate surgery.
I told Francis if she got this far, she'd make it the rest of the way.
A month after the shooting, Dennis and Francis are still recuperating. If found guilty, the man accused of shooting them faces a maximum penalty of little more than that for shooting bears out of season.
It's hard to even let it sink in all at once that you might have died, because it's really hard to think about. And when I realized what my sons had been through and their wives and my parents, all this that they had been through waiting to see if I was going to live, it was just terrible to think that they had been through they had suffered so much.
Frances is a very lucky woman that she's alive today, and it's my belief that had she been shot directly in the chest, that she would have died. And the fact that her husband absorbed the initial shock is probably what saved her life.
That's how you feeling? All right? Yeah, you better. I look at Frances now, I mean, he just knows she's going to be better soon, so we can get on to do the stuff that we like to do together, you know. Today, my hand and my arm are still pretty much numb. I've been doing a little bit of therapy at the hospital. I haven't seen that's made a lot of difference, but they say it will. So we'll continue doing that.
But Dennis may never be able to return to work as a mechanic.
When anyone hunts, they should have a clear picture of their target. A lot of people shoot at brush. They should never shoot at brush. A clear target is your only answer to safe hunting. You just can't shoot at anything that moves.
I'm just thankful we're both still alive. You can't really get it across how much you appreciate rescue people. I mean, words just don't say that. I'm just glad we're alive.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.